Howdy folks, welcome to the channel. I'm Don. This is Rockin' the Country, where I react to non-pop country music, and the Statlers are certainly non-pop. And I don't know, maybe they had a crossover hit or two, but I don't know their catalog that well, but I know they did Christian music, spiritual music, you called that, and of course they did traditional country. And this song, One Takes the Blame. Ooh, Kyle Perkins made a gift to the channel for me to do this one, so thank you for that, Kyle. Now, of course, there could be a turn of phrase in here where it winds up being a funny song. My experience with songs, song titles, and artists suggests that's not going to be the case. I think somebody screwed up, but I don't know what the narrative development's going to be, but that's what I'm going to be checking out right now. So Kyle, thank you for this gift, my friend. And for you, Kyle, as well as other folks who are, a vibrant part of the channel who are keeping traditional country music going, because I'm convinced that it's going to make a resurgence. I think movements, if you will, over time can lose their luster, and I think there's a definite place for Nashville country, but I think that the migration is going to be back more toward good storytelling, because it's just once you get into a good storytelling genre, which traditional country is the best at that, hands down, you don't want to go back to something that's just lollipoppy. So anyway, let's see what the Statlers have for us. Here we go.
When it's over,
there it is.
and God knows as well as we it is. When we pack up and stack up what's hers and what's his.
Damn.
When we make up the stories to cover up the shame.
That's what we do. We'll do it.
They never will believe we simply fell out of love. So one takes the bow, one takes the blame. It won't be easy to throw away so many years and smile, but don't feel guilty. We gave it our best for a while, but the story we tell our friends must always be the same.
In what way?
'Cause they never would believe it was really no one's fault. One takes the bow, one takes the blame.
One takes the bow, one takes the blame. I don't get the bow part. I'm trying to figure it out. At first, I thought he might have said vow. One takes the vow, like I'm taking my vow with me too. Like we're not going to be together, but they're both doing that because they both made a vow at the wedding at the altar. But one takes the bow, like I'm leaving. It's over. Because the other one is getting blamed for it. I guess they both do it. I think that's the implication there. And I said this, obviously, as a life coach and somebody who's been divorced, you want to have that sense of personal responsibility so you don't carry the baggage into your next relationship if you go into one, which most people do. So it's best to see what you sowed into the dissolution of the marriage and why you stopped liking one another if you did stop liking one another. Sometimes it's one-sided, though. Sometimes one person just decides to leave. This isn't what they expected. Maybe the guy or the girl is, the husband or the wife is exactly sort of what they expected, and they thought that they could make it work, but they couldn't. And it wasn't that the other person's a bad person at all, and they actually like them. They're a good person, but they just kind of like them more as a friend. They're expecting more passion realistically or unrealistically, they just didn't know what went into a relationship. And after a few years or what have you, they just decide they're going to move along and it breaks the other person's heart. But in this song, they said, the love dissipated and they weren't in love anymore. But I don't think love dies. I think liking another person dies. And these can be difficult distinctions to make because it engenders a lot of questions and definitions and typical philosophical inquiry style. What do you mean by that? What does this mean? But I do think we can understand it that there are certain aspects of a relationship or the other person that we just don't like. The way they do this, the way they do that, it gets annoying. They're not listening well enough. They're whatever. Their sense of fashion is horrendous and they don't change it. They're lazy. They're out of shape. I don't know, whatever. And you could just sort of stop liking. But there's a certain seed that's in there that is always there, that you love the other person. It's just over time you stopped liking either them or what the relationship was and what life became. And you wrongly assign the blame frequently to the other person, that it's their fault, not realizing that you yourself are part of the problem or that they're experiencing the same dynamic. When you're with somebody day after day, year after year, decade after decade, it could get sort of routine. And you think that it's supposed to be a honeymoon your whole life, and it's not. The routine, there are absolute advantages to routines. Seriously. A lot of people would like to have the luxury of life to get into a routine, but they have to work so hard. They have to do this. They got the kids, this, so many different aspects where they don't have the luxury of being bored because they're just tired all the time from working so hard and doing so much and giving so much. All right, Kyle, you're on a roll here with getting me going on stuff, man. This might go in the premarital counseling playlist. I haven't decided yet.
One takes the bow, one takes the blame. That's the way you have to play the game.
Everybody plays the fool.
Your friends need someone they can talk about and blame.
Yep.
And God forbid, but my friends need the same.
They brought in a female back.
When we get lonely, and lonely we'll get now and then.
There's a turn.
Just remember that somewhere we both still have a friend. Love's not forever, ours went as gently as it came.
Ooh, went as gently as it
So
came.
for all the years I loved you, and you know I really loved you, you take the bow, I'll take the blame.
Nice.
You take the bow, I'll take the blame.
That song was written by someone who lived it, because I can identify so well with this song. The detail in there is like if you love the other person, you want them to be able to move on in life and have a decent life, as much as it's crushing you to imagine that they'd be with somebody else. And they will be, and it depends on circumstance. But, each person is going to have their own story, and friends and family want to take your side. They see you in pain, and they say, the other person put you in pain. I don't like the other person. Let's throw that person under the bus. Let's sort of recraft this narrative once more details come out about why the marriage didn't work. Now, for me, when I'm life coaching, when I'm talking with people going through these circumstances, I tell them, look, as much pain as you are in right now, be careful how much you talk negatively about that other person, because Other people are going to pick up on that. Your friends, family are going to intensify it. And once you get over the initial angst and you put it and gain more perspective, you're going to wish that you hadn't said as much as you did, because you're going to realize that you were hyperbolic or exaggerating certain things due to your emotionality. Generally speaking, there's a lot that goes on at that time when you're splitting up or have just split. Then you gain more perspective and you realize that the other person wasn't as bad as you thought, generally speaking. And you yourself contributed to the breakdown in the relationship. And then you want to dial it back so that you're sort of defending the person that you're now divorced from. And this is just one way in which it plays out. But I encourage people, look, just don't say that much. I know it's hard because there's so much welling up inside you as you're going through a divorce, especially when it involves kids. But you're going to wind up in so many conversations because you'll make a few comments to a really close friend of yours, and then he or she will bring it back up in the next conversation. How you doing with this? And you get tired of it after a while. And then you realize, my gosh, I wasn't even representing what took place fully because I was so emotional about it. And so it's just a very difficult emotional situation. But the idea, look, I know the other person's going to have their narrative. Every human being has the story of their own life that they have in their own mind about the way things play out. Some of it involves defense mechanisms. We want to defend ourselves against having done wrong, against hurting another person. We want to, I don't know if you want to call it pride. That's not a bad word for it, but we just want to show that, we were just so proper in this relationship and I really didn't do anything wrong. And it's like, well, no, there are things that you probably did that you could have done better, things you shouldn't have done. And I don't mean just cheating, but how you speak, whatever, sensitivities you might show or that you did not show, didn't meet the other person's needs when they could have been met, not unrealistic needs. So, all right, Kyle, I'm going to rate this. It was beautiful. The vocalizations, they brought in a female at an appropriate time. And but the idea of taking the blame for it is, you could call it the high road, but it's just not in theory. There are practical benefits, and I'm a very practical person. I look at things from a practical standpoint. What's going to get better results versus what's likely to get worse results? And not saying as much is the better way to go. There's a lot less that you have to dial back or account for, or that you might even regret saying. Because some relationships, believe it or not, even divorces, they come back together. And if you want to leave that option open at some point, don't say too much to other people. The number that popped into my head on this was a 9.4. It may seem like a very simple song, but the vocals were gorgeous in this thing. Every Which Way Till Tuesday. The instrumentation was just very sweet, almost lullaby-ish, but it was orchestral. But the content in this, the lyricist lived it, period. So, all right, guys. Woo! Kyle, thank you again, my friend. Have a great day. I am going to put that in the premarital counseling playlist because I just want people to know what could happen if you don't pay attention to your partner, your wife, your husband, the person you're with. All right, guys, have a great day. I'll see you on another video and keep rocking the country.